Now we are going to look at the biblical origins of tithing. Previously, we looked at the ancient cultures that had similar tithing-like practice. Today we're going to show early Old Testament references to this tithing. First, we're going to start with Abraham and Melchizedek. So in the book of Genesis, we encounter the patriarch Abram, later to become Abraham. So he is engaging with a significant person called Melchizedek, who is a priest of God Most High. And so this event occurs after Abraham's battle against several kings. And then Abraham in Genesis 14 verse 20 gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything. That is a tenth of everything of the spoils of war. So this act here is often cited as evidence for the existence of tithing before the establishment of the Mosaic Law. So rather than under law, we have it under grace. It highlights that giving a tenth of one's possessions as a gesture of honor and gratitude to authorities was a customary practice within the cultural context of Abraham's time. As we saw in our last section about ancient cultures, particularly ancient Greece, they had a system of the decat that in the spoils of war, you were to give 10% to the authorities. So this was a practice already happening in other cultures similar to what Abraham would have been used to. So it wasn't necessarily a gesture of gratitude or whatever. It was something he may have felt compelled to do in his culture. Now we're going to look at Jacob's vow. In Genesis 28, 20 to 22, we find the account of Jacob's encounter with God at Bethel after experiencing a powerful vision of a ladder reaching to heaven. Jacob made a vow to God. If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and the stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and all of that you give me, I will give you a tenth. Jacob's vow to give a tenth of all that he receives also demonstrates a practice of giving that predates the formal establishment of the tithe as a religious requirement in the Mosaic Law. This example again shows that it was customary to give a tenth to the authorities that rule over you, in whosever kingdom you were in. It was obviously a custom. Next we're going to look at Samuel's warning. We can see the influence of tithing practices in the prophet Samuel's warning about the common practice or cultural norm of paying a tenth to a king. In 1 Samuel 8, 15 and 17, Samuel addresses the Israelites who desired a king to rule over them. He said, "He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vineyards and give it to his officers and his servants." In verse 17 he says, "He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his servants." So here Samuel warns them that if they choose a human king, he will take a tenth of their grain, vineyards, and livestock. This warning suggests that the practice of giving a tenth was well established and recognized as a significant portion of one's wealth or produce. So Samuel is not talking about the Mosaic Law, he's talking about a common practice of kings and rulers and authorities to take a tenth of the produce. So he is showing that it was an already established custom for the tenth or taxation to take place.